for a triple split, the way that they feel connected is when they are connecting with different people. They're not just fixed with one person, because if this one person is bridging all of their splits, and also if this one person is consistently bridging the splits in the same way, this can feel very restrictive. Hardcore, the Human Design Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Human Design Podcast. I am Miko, and on the other side of the world, we have Celestina.
Hey, guys.
And today we are going to start the month of love. And Celestina, before we clicked record, she said, "This is your thing, anyways."
It is.
So yes, I'm very excited about I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day or things like this, but the theme of love. That's my jam.
100% your vibe.
So we are going to take a look at a triple split relationship today, which is very fascinating because triple splits are not meant to be tied down in the same way as a split design, human design in their chart. If you haven't listened to the episode yet, we do have an episode talking about all splits, all 4 splits. Today we're specifically talking about the triple split, and we have chosen a couple where both of these individuals have a triple split design. So would you like to introduce us to the couple?
I didn't even know this person had a person. Maybe you guys didn't either. Oprah and her boothang/life partner, Stedman Graham. Who knew? We'll tell you when they met in just a sec, but Oprah is kind of this American icon / if you go by one name, I feel like that's how you know you've made it in life, right? Like Cher, Oprah, those names stick. I want to give you guys a bit of an overview of Oprah Winfrey's life, and then we'll also talk about where she met her partner. So she was born on January 29th, 1954 in Mississippi. She was born to an unmarried teenage mom and raised in pretty intense poverty. So she lived with her grandmother during the early years, and her grandmother was a housekeeper for a family, and that's really like what she saw as like the best thing for Oprah, right? She's like, honestly, if you could just like become a housekeeper like me, if you meet a really nice family that'll take care of you, that's the peak. And that's really all she knew growing up. They were so poor that for the early years, she often wore dresses made from potato sacks. She slept on like the floor outside of the house that her grandmother was cleaning at. Like it was very, very challenging. However, through all of that, her grandmother instilled in her a love for reading and speaking, and that really seems to have shaped her gift for storytelling. And I'm sure we're going to see a little bit more in her human design about that as well. Her childhood was quite turbulent. She experienced sexual abuse and lived in chaotic environments throughout her very early childhood. And this was at the hands of like family friends and members of her family. At 14, after running away from home, she gave birth to a son who died in infancy. So this, again, was at the hands of sexual abuse. While extremely tragic, marked a turning point in her life. She went to go live with her father in Nashville, and he was like, hey, this is a chance to start over. Yes, your life right now, or life up until this point, has been very challenging, but you can change it. And this can be the point in time in which you do so. Her dad was very adamant that she get a good education and really be disciplined. So this is where she really did turn her life around. She got like a scholarship to a really good school that allowed people from less affluent areas to go to a really quality school. So she did that, and then she received a scholarship to Tennessee State University, and she studied communications. So at 19, she became the first African-American female to anchor on Nashville's, like one of their TV stations. Then she moved on to co-hosting People Are Talking in Baltimore. And then later from Baltimore, took the leap to hosting AM Chicago. So this channel or this station was really struggling. Their numbers were down, and literally within a year of being on that show, they went from like the worst, or maybe not the worst, but like had really bad ratings to amazing. So much so that the show was renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show 2 years later than that. And the show became nationally syndicated in 1986. So that just means that it was available beyond Chicago. And people were watching it because she was super charismatic. She brought a lot of personality to the show. And this show ran for 25 years. So from 86 to 2011. It was the highest rated talk show in US television history. And it really, I think it set the stage for what they call like the Oprah effect and her interviewing style. So she really brings this like empathy and focusing on the other human, on the other side in her interviewing style. She focuses on self-improvement, spirituality, cultural awareness, and all of this really made her a household name, right? Like when you think of Oprah, what do you think? For me, it's, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, you know? And like that's obviously not how it was in 1986, but like in the late 90s and early 2000s, like that's what I think of Oprah as, just like giving, giving, giving. And that's beautiful. So on her show, she was also covering some groundbreaking topics, including mental health, race, and personal growth. She also, fun fact, I guess you can say a fun fact, she played a therapist on the Ellen DeGeneres show in the 90s who actually helped Ellen come out on the Ellen show. So that was a pretty monumental thing. So even since the 80s, she's been like very pro LGBTQ plus rights and being an advocate through all of that as well. While she was in communications like throughout the 1980s, actually right before her show turned into the Oprah Winfrey Show, or rather the year after her show turned into the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1985, she was in the movie The Color Purple. That was a very monumental movie of the time as well. She earned an Academy Award nomination for that role as well. In 2011, after she rounded out her time with the Oprah Winfrey Show, she opened her own network, like her own TV network called OWN. Get it? Her own TV network. It's called the Oprah Winfrey Network, hence OWN. And then that's really what expanded her media empire. She is very much into philanthropy, having donated millions to education, health, and women's rights access. She also established the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa in 2007. That has taken off significantly. She's gone to visit and has like made genuine connections with the girls who have gone to that academy as well. And a lot of them have gone on to do some really cool things because of that opportunity she's provided them. At this point, she has a net worth of over $2.5 billion. But again, she's all about giving back, self-empowerment, and also empowering others, which is really cool. So where does her boo thang, her partner, come into all of this? So they actually met back in 1986. They had a mutual friend who was passing of AIDS, and they went to his home. Stedman was with another chick at that time, but Oprah was like, he's cute. So I think they started talking, but they weren't like super, super serious at this point. But about a year later, they started like actually going out, and he actually started pursuing her / vice versa. I believe it was in 1991. He proposed to her, and it was like a big thing. They were super stoked on it, but they never really followed through with anything else. So they've been forever engaged, which I think is actually really cute. Like I said, to begin with, I didn't know that she had a significant other. I just always heard like Oprah and Gayle. I had no idea that she had a man in her life or has a man in her life. And I think that that's actually really cool that they give each other the space to be themselves. And I think that that's really beautiful. I think it takes a very special person to be with, one, someone who's famous, two, a female who is famous, successful, and probably more famous and successful than he is, right? So I think it takes a certain kind of person to be able to lift someone else up like that. But as Miko said, they're both triple splits. So let's explore a little bit about perhaps why they didn't get married, and maybe they don't even know the reason, but we can look at their human designs and maybe tell you the reason. Hey, yo! So this is kind of cool to be able to explore this. So that's a bit about Oprah, a bit about where homeboy Stedman comes into this, and I'm excited to see how they come together and also still bring in other people into their lives to maybe help fill some of those gaps as well. Wow, that was longer than 5 minutes. Have fun, Miko.
Well done. Well, yeah, I think they deserve more than 5 minutes and even more because of everything that they have done and accomplished. And as you said, Oprah came from a very challenging childhood, challenging background. He also, when he's asked about her, he refers to this a lot. He seems very, very proud of her, and they both seem to support one another a lot throughout their life. And this kind of also brings us to their design. So when you're looking at them together, just as a very, very short note before we take a look at their individual charts, you can see here the 4426 channel that they both define. They are creating an electromagnetic connection in this channel. And it kind of says, I love you because I'm successful with you. And this is what I found super fascinating because they are successful together, but they always insist on being their own person. They don't want to merge into one person. And we will take a look at the more in-depth side of them as a couple in a second. But first, the major reason, should we take it away already? The major reason of why they are still not married and also didn't have children is because they are a triple split and they are most likely living according to their design. And a triple split, when they are in a closed relationship, they don't feel good. They feel caged. They don't feel free. They really want to be their own individual. So this is the perfect way for both of them to be with someone, to have someone by their side, but not to feel caged and still be free and also include other people into their lives. So for a triple split, the way that they feel connected is when they are connecting with different people. They're not just fixed with one person, because if this one person is bridging all of their splits, and also if this one person is consistently bridging the splits in the same way, this can feel very restrictive. And this is what happens with both of them. So when you put both of their charts together, when they're in their own aura, they become a 9 and 0, nowhere to go, and they're bridging all of their splits. So they are a single definition, which can feel very nice and cozy and comforting, especially to a split definition. When a split definition is bridged by another person, they feel very good about it. A triple split, however, feels uncomfortable over a prolonged period of time. So I'm sure that they're also not spending a lot of time together just one-on-one all the time. But this 9 and 0, nowhere to go is also, as a single definition, it doesn't leave much space for other people. So it wouldn't leave much space for kids as well in this relationship because they're already completing one another. This is pretty much the major reason why they didn't get married. And this is also what she says when you're looking at a few reports of hers. As soon as he popped the question, she realized this is not what she wants. And she took the time to go through her emotional wave, which is great. She needs her space and time to gain clarity. But after a while, she realized, okay, this is definitely not what I want. What I really wanted was for him to recognize me as a potential life partner. This is what she wanted. She wanted this recognition. She wanted him to ask, but she didn't want the marriage. And both of them say that if they would have gone through with the marriage, they would have probably felt like the relationship wouldn't have lasted. So they think if they would have gotten married, this wouldn't have worked. I think they are right in that because we're also, when we're looking at both of them together, we can also see potential challenges. They also have, of course, a lot of electromagnetic connections, 7 to be exact, but they also have a few compromises. So that can lead to challenges over the long haul, but also their mental connection and emotional connection is extremely deep. There is a lot that they get to talk about, to share, to explore, to dive into on the intellectual, the emotional level. Also, because they're a single definition, it's all flowing towards the throat. So everything that they are, they can manifest it with each other. When I was looking at Stedman in my tiny little bit of research, what I also heard him say is that he really wants to be his own person. And this is totally valid. If you have someone like Oprah next to you that is so famous and that does take a lot of space and that takes a lot of attention, it can be difficult, but they both always make sure to provide this plateau for one another. So they're supporting each other on their plateau, but they also want to keep their lives separate in certain aspects. I was looking at one of his interviews about his book Identity, which I'm not sure when it came out, but I will link that interview in the description because I really like the way that he talks and what he's sharing about it. And his major topic in all of this is understanding how you define yourself and understanding how societal norms and belief systems and your upbringing and all of that places you in boxes. And those boxes are not you. So he's often put into a box that he's white. I don't know his ethnicity, but he's also often, he was often referred to the white boyfriend of Oprah. This was one box he was put in. Another box that he was put in was that he was a caretaker for his brothers that were handicapped or disabled. I'm not sure what exactly they had, but they had some challenges and he had to take care of them. Another box he was put into was Oprah's boyfriend or partner. So he was trying to figure out what his true identity was. And after watching this video, I was like, oh, this book sounds interesting. So he was describing it in a really beautiful way of how he kind of went about identifying himself from within himself, not from everything that comes from outside of you. And in this interview, he also mentions that he's right-brained, which was very fascinating. And he is right-brained. He has 3 of the arrows pointing right. He has got the top right arrow pointing left, which is the motivation. With all of those arrows pointing right, he is very much relying on his surroundings, on the people that surround him, because he needs people to pull out all of the information from him. He has so much insight, so much wisdom, so much knowledge, especially as well with that defined head and defined ajna, defined with both streams. One is abstract and the other one is logical. So he has these streams flowing from his head center to the ajna and also flowing down from the ajna in gate 17 and gate 11, but he doesn't have anything connecting his throat to the ajna. When we then take a look at them together, you can see that Oprah is providing gate 56 and gate 62. And together they're defining the full head center to ajna connection. So all channels are defined. As I said, a lot of mental definition. And I'm sure that a lot of the book that he was writing was actually written in the vicinity of Oprah. And it took him a long time, apparently, to write this book. So either that or he wrote it in a cafe or something like this. But he needs other people to be able to express himself properly.
Imagine being a fly on the wall to conversations they have. How wild must that be?
Yeah. That must be so interesting. Really, after I heard him talk, and I never knew anything about him. Me as well. I didn't even know she had a partner, but I also don't really follow her story. And I didn't know that she came from such an upbringing or anything like this. I really like the way he talks and also the ideas that he has. And so I I think it's very important to really have him stand on his own pedestal and not to only be linked to Oprah. So at the beginning, when we were researching this or thinking about talking about them in the first place, I was like, okay, we can call it Oprah and her relationship with Stedman. But I think they should be seen as individuals. And sadly, I don't know that much about Stedman, but I think I will actually read his book because it just seems very interesting.
While we're still on their chart, like their mutual chart, I think it's awesome that they have 7 electromagnetics. And I think when people look at these and they're looking at their own charts, they're like, oh, wow, this person completes me, right? And I think that's probably the initial thought of what people have about electromagnetics. And I think it's important to note that they can be good for a relationship, right? They can create this like strong attraction and feeling of bonding, but they are not the sole determinant of someone's compatibility with you, right? Like this isn't like a Teen Beat J14 magazine compatibility test with someone. Like if you have electromagnetics, dope. That's a point in which you connect with that person on the other side. And I think that that's fantastic. But it's also really important to consider your strategy, authority, your alignment as a human, and other relationship themes, like in your chart and in their chart, right? I just think it's important to note that like even if you have like 2 or no electromagnetic channels with your significant other, that's not the determining factor as to whether or not you guys are quote unquote meant to be together, right? So just take that into account, that especially as we enter love month, as we are in love month, and we continue talking about all the different types of connections one can have, this is not the end all be all. It's dope that they have 7. You don't have to have 7 to have a successful relationship, nor do you have to be a single definition with your partner, right? And complete and like be one person. So all of that to say is this is not the only thing that one should be looking at. There's a lot of different aspects to the chart, and we just happen to be using a triple split as an example because it came up in a conversation that I had, and also it can be a challenging relationship to understand and navigate. So those caveats I just wanted to toss in.
Yeah, very important caveats. And I think what really is important about today's episode is that if you are a triple split, you understand why you're feeling certain ways in relationships. And I think this is something that a lot of triple splits are struggling with because they feel like they're tied down and they feel like they're locked in and locked up as soon as they enter into a relationship. But as you can see, it's also possible to be together for more than, I think it's 40 years, definitely more than 35, maybe 40. So it's possible to be in a committed relationship without feeling this being locked in, and even as a triple split or as 2 triple splits. And another very important topic that I would like to mention here that has not much to do with human design, but the fact that they have been put under so much pressure to get married, to have kids, it's insane to me. They are still being pursued about this, and there are still questions being asked as to why are they not married, why are they not having kids, or didn't they have kids? And this is for sure the reason why, and it was the correct decision for them to do this, to follow through like this. Another thing that you can see in their chart, and now let's take a little look at Stedman Graham, or Graham. He is a manifester. So as a manifester, again, he can have a very repelling aura, a very pushing you away kind of aura. But Oprah, when she first saw him, she felt like he was a very attractive person, but she didn't feel this electromagnetic connection, and they have 7 of them. So it is a very, very strong connection, but you can see how strong the manifestor aura is also, because she was not letting herself feel it, or maybe she wasn't feeling it because the door wasn't open. And I feel, after spending some time with you, a manifestor needs to open the door. And once the door is open, it is it is a very different kind of energy. But if the door is not open, if there is no friendship or no, if you're just walking through the streets, and we've tested this extensively, let the manifestor walk first and everyone else will make way for the manifestor with their repelling aura.
2 seconds. We were at a train station in Germany, and there were these people like trying to like get signatures for something, and they were just amping each other up, playing like ninja in the train station. And they were like wrapping up their game. And I was like, Miko, I bet you if I pass by, they're not going to say anything to me. And I just like beelined it through, beelined it back. They didn't pay me any mind. And then you went through. Did they talk to you? I can't remember.
I also don't remember, but it was a very different kind of, yeah, it was so different.
Yeah, so that was a random little side note. You're welcome, guys.
Yeah, it's true. And I find that, yeah, it's just so interesting. The way that they connected as well, that it took some time as well for them to dive deeper into their relationship, which makes perfect sense for a 2-4 profile like Oprah Winfrey. So she really needs the foundation of friendship before entering into a relationship. And this is what they did. They first became friends, and then they turned this into a relationship, a romantic relationship. It was just all very correct for both of them. So I think this is, again, an important part to mention, and we kind of always mention this when we talk about relationships, to enter into relationships correctly. This is what you should be doing. So for Oprah, she needs to be friends with a person to get involved physically with a person. Before she gets involved physically with a person, because this fourth line here, it's in the body aspect. So it's in the design, in her unconscious. While the second line is in her conscious, her personality. So for her to physically get involved with someone, having a solid friendship foundation is very, very important. For Stedman Graham, he needs safety and security, and just to also get to know someone and get to know the details and everything about that person before they safely can step into a physical relationship with someone. So additionally to that, once Oprah's sacral was saying, hell yes, I want to be with that person, or I want more from that person, she still needs to wait for clarity. She still needs to wait for her emotional wave to see, is that truly what I want, or is it just spur of the moment kind of thing? While Stedman is very different. All he kind of has to do as an emotional, or like a splenic manifestor, but he's got the direct connection to his throat, just like Celestina. So would you like to share something about that?
That connection, for me, feels like if there's something internally to say, you're going to say it, but you have to feel drawn and pulled to say it. If not, you will not say anything. I don't know how else to explain that dynamic. Although I wonder how he feels about resources, because your girl's all about bringing resources and making sure people have what they need. So that makes sense, though. If he was taking care of his siblings and he was that person to do it, that channel 100% is like him giving to his family in need. But I wonder how he feels having that. So one, he creates, like, he gives heart to Oprah, right? Like her ego is wide open. So he brings all of that to her. So I wonder what that feels like. And I wonder if Stedman is the behind, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. Oprah, you have to let us know, girl. Is that his doing? Did he, over dinner one night, was he just like, boo-boo, I think you should start giving away cars to people in need? I need to know. Because that's how I feel. I want to do that.
You need a, well, yeah. you have it inside of you. Just let it out.
I need a company to sponsor me. Car companies out there, I'm open. Give me cars and I'll give them to people in need.
I think they have such an interesting dynamic, those two. And he may be very well the person that is behind all of her willpower, depending on whatever she wants to do. And if she does need some willpower to get her fueled. But apart from that, she also has the sacral definition. So she does have this life force energy, this continuous life force energy if she does things that are satisfying to her. You were asking about her storytelling aspects. So there is gate 56, which she brings into the picture through her south node. So this is an important part of her first 40 years approximately, but it is also something that she brings in from past life experiences. So it's something that she's naturally skilled at, but it's not necessarily the thing that she needs to move towards. Gate 56 and gate 11 together, what he has, his 11th gate is in Venus, so it's one of the important things for him. It's something that he values a lot, the ability to dive into the past and to uncover the moral of the story is kind of thing in stories, and to be able to then share it through Oprah. This is what the dynamic is. So he may be the one that is diving into understanding all of the details with gate 17, and then understanding the ideas that are developing within his mind and analyzing them and conceptualizing them. But then with Oprah, he has the ability to share them in an abstract way, but also in a logical way. So she gives him this ability. Additionally to that, she has gate 33 in her earth. So she doesn't have gate 13 where people tell her all of the secrets. However, she has gate 33 where she can share the stories of others that she's getting. So that when they are open to telling her things, and she always has very good questions as well. So this is a very good skill of hers. But she also needs to be in the mood to talk. So she has gate 12 in her unconscious Jupiter. And this is always a very interesting placement to me, because Jupiter is all about your personal law. What is it you need to abide to so that you can live out your full potential? And Jupiter in gate 12 is really, she needs to wait for the right moment to share her thoughts and her ideas with the world, to share her feelings and emotions with the world. So in combination with gate 33 in her earth, which is feeling very grounding to her when she's able to share the stories from other people, but in a way that this is something that you can learn from. It's something that she got out of these stories, and after taking some time to process, taking some time to sit in aloneness, which is what gate 33 is also about. It's got to do with a lot of alone time, also enhanced by line 2. So again, hermiting, and also enhanced by her profile, which also has the second line. So she needs a lot of alone time, a lot of self-reflection processes. Through that, she's then able to, once that clarity has come, share in the right moment. And this is when her voice, when her words are going to be super, super powerful when she does that. So another thing that I can see here is that he has gate 58 in his Mercury, and she has gate 18 in her moon. So this electromagnetic connection, what can happen here is that there is a dynamic of pointing out what works and what doesn't work in their relationship. Him, on the other hand, with having Jupiter in his gate 55, this gate is about connecting with spirit, but in relationship connections, it is about not being entirely sure whether he wants or he doesn't want to be in this relationship, and it's going to keep on going back and forth in his mind, in his way that he's feeling. And it seems to be less with Oprah because he seems to have been with her for a very long time, or he has been with her for a very long time. But this was something, I watched a video of his ex-wife, and she was saying that this is something that she complained about. So I'm assuming that they created a compromise or an electromagnetic connection in this, because he kept going back and forth. she made commitments. She moved closer to him. She tried to be with him, but he was never sure. And she really wanted a marriage. She really wanted to have kids. And this was, it's great that he found Oprah and Oprah found him, because two triple splits really understand what it means to be in a committed relationship, but to still provide the freedom to one another. And I don't think that the ex-wife would have necessarily been able to do that. I don't know her design or anything, but when she was describing it, I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense that it didn't work, because he couldn't have given to her what she wanted.
Another note here is, just because you have compromise channels with your significant other doesn't mean the relationship can't work, right? I mean, they have 5 compromise channels. So please take that into account. And in 3 instances, Oprah Winfrey compromises Stedman, and in 2 instances, Stedman compromises Oprah. So I know we've discussed this in the past, but just so you guys have an understanding of what we're talking about here. With a compromise channel, one partner has the full channel, and then the other partner only has one gate of that channel. So creating a potential imbalance. And I feel like in this, though, there are opportunities for growth. And like you said, Miko, definitely some points of frustration. But as long as you're aware of them and can gain a better understanding of what that feels like in your personal relationship dynamic, I think it's definitely workable. I find that the most challenging ones can be from the emotional centers to the throat center, right? Not really being able to fully express the emotion piece of it, and then one person only having a hanging channel and the other person not understanding why they can't express something. I find that one, I've seen it happen in my parents, and I find that one to be one of the more challenging things, like compromise-wise. I'm sure regardless of what channel is being compromised in someone's chart, it can be a challenge, but that also should be noted. It's not the end-all be-all if you have compromised channels with your significant other or with anyone in your life.
Absolutely. And what it always comes down to is, are you willing to talk about what you're feeling in the moment when you do feel compromised, when you do feel like you can't express something properly? Are you willing to share that with the other person, or are you just going to eat it up inside? And that's going to actually cause the big challenge if you're just swallowing, and at some point it's just going to burst out and you'll explode. So another interesting aspect was the right angle cross of the 4 ways in Oprah. And this is a cross where she has different phases in her life, where she needs to really move through completely different lives. And this is what you can see with her. Her childhood and upbringing seems to have been so different to what she's living now. So this is going to bring yet another additional, very fluctuating way for Oprah to navigate life. So again, a very fixed, very traditional relationship is not really the healthiest thing for her. And what you can also see, or what I read, was that she is, since Gayle King, I think was her name, since she got a divorce, her, Stedman Graham, and Gayle King all go on holidays together. So they don't really take single holidays anymore. That's what I read. They enjoy having holidays together. So that's great. That's also interesting, because I wonder how Gayle King and Oprah Winfrey connect with one another, and if they also create a 9-0 nowhere to go. That's pretty much it on, well, that's not it, but that's like the very, very top level pinnacle overview of their relationship. And I think that is a fantastic start into the love month, which funny enough is the shortest month of the year. Why is that? Love deserves the longest month of the year. They should make February into 32 days. Celestina's like, oh my God, stop with all the loving.
My wedding anniversary is in February, so we never celebrate Valentine's Day. Like, ever.
Do you celebrate your wedding anniversary?
Of course.
Well, I don't know.
It was 4 days later, so it just seems silly to spend several $100s twice in 1 week for a nice dinner out or dinner in. Oh, that's another thing. So it surprised me that, not really surprised me, but like I guess it kind of surprised me that she's a 2-4 because she's definitely like out there and she peoples a lot, you know? But she said that her favorite like date night with Stedman is just dinner at home. Either her cooking for him or him cooking for her. And it's just like down home, like good Southern cooking that they do. So like red beans and rice, cornbread. Oh, that sounds so good. But I thought that was really cute. So it totally makes sense though with her being a 2-4. And also because there's such famous people, it's very challenging to go out without being noticed, right? So they kind of do have to lay low if they want a cute date night. So yeah,
That's true.
I thought that was a cute little anecdote, not an antidote.
You're really not about love, are you? Antidote. Well, that was a beautiful one. And if you would like to know more, if you would like to hear more of their individual lives, their individual charts, and maybe also Gayle King in the mix of all of this with Oprah or with all three, let us know in the comments below. Thank you very much for listening, everyone, and we hope you enjoy our love month.
Ciao, guys.